Gdzie no? A. Hello.
Positioned on top of the St. Peter and St. Paul Bastion. This is the largest and tallest defensive works in the whole of Malta, giving you the most commanding view out over the Grand Harbour. We are Fondazione Wortartner. We're a non-governmental charitable heritage trust looking after over 40 historic properties throughout Malta to protect and preserve them from further decay and vandalism, and where possible, restore them back to a condition that you can visit. And since 2004, with the assistance of the Maltese Tourist Authority and the Bank of Valletta, we've reinstated and carried out the noonday firing ceremony just as it was always done throughout the 19th century into the early 20th. Now, you've got a good view from the balcony, but if you wish, you can come down and join us in the saluting battery itself. For only €2 for adults and no charge for accompanied children, you can come down into this restored heritage clock. For all ships present, you'll get that chance to reset their clocks. Now, originally, time was maintained here by a device from the Royal Navy in Portsmouth called a time ball. Now, this mechanism was set on the front of the Castile Palace behind you. It's a large brass sphere that rose into the air and then dropped at precisely noon. Another soldier with flags put on the balcony would signal this moment happening to the gunners standing waiting ready to fire. Now, we don't have a time ball replicated these days, ladies and gentlemen, so we use satellite time. So, if you've recently got off a plane and changed a watch, or want to make sure it's actually right, I trust you can do so by us, because we continue to take this as seriously as it was always done. Now, the guns that we're going to be using today are a series of cannon that we've had made in 2011 with EU funding. So these are actually replica cannons. They're all exact copies of a gun of this type that we have here in the saluting battery. But before we had this set of cannons made, we were using a number of cannons that we collected from around the harbour where they've been sunk into cement to be used as mooring bollards for ships. These are very old cannons. Two of them have the cipher of George III on them, and one may well have been left here by Lord Nelson on the way to the Battle of the Nile. So they're very old and historic antiques. So by having these replica guns, it means that we can relegate those older cannons for conservation, as museum pieces preserved here for all time. If you do come down and take our guided tour, you'll be able to see those original cannons, as most of them are underneath the balcony. But what we have forward on the bastion now is a uniform or matching set of guns of exactly the right type of cannon that was here at the very end of the 19th century. These are what are called a Monksy pattern 32-pounder. Now, originally, all guns of this sort were made as muzzle-loading guns. Now, that means that everything has to be packed in from the front. That means they're slower to load, they take more gun crew to operate, and they're not as safe as later inventions. So when the technology comes around in the middle of the 19th century for breech loading, all guns of this sort were sent back to Woolwich in England and had a conversion done. The back or cassabel was cut away, and the brass mechanism you see now fitted to the rear. And that makes them easily, quickly and safely loaded from the back. Now you see we've got the covers of two of our guns. We've already placed the charge of gunpowder in its silk bag in the breech of both of those cannons. Now with loading two, even though we only intend to fire one, for a noonday marker of course. Now the reason that we load two is that we do this using authentic Victorian technology. There are much more sure and electronic modern ways of setting off a cannon these days, but we refuse to use them. We do this historically correct, just as it was always done. So because of that, using Victorian technology, it is possible we could have a misfire. Now if that happens, we've got a spare gun loaded for a plan B. Now, if we do get a misfire, one of our other soldiers is standing ready with flags at the far end of the bastion and would go to the front and signal to the harbour that there's a delay in process. Now, ships marking the time would also have been watching the bastion, and they would know by the display of flags that there's actually a delay and that their firing mark today would take place at precisely 1 minute past instead. Now, hopefully we won't get a misfire today, however. Now, we're making ready, and that's fixing a friction tube or fuse to the top of both of those guns. Now, this is a small metal device containing finer grade gunpowder, and attached to that is a little metal key. Now, when that's pulled hard, hopefully that'll grate and cause sparks, setting off the gunpowder inside the fuse to blast down the vent and ignite the main charge resting in the breech of the cannon. Now, you'll already hear a few church bells starting up, ladies and gentlemen. They're not as particular about timekeeping as we have to be. So we haven't missed the moment, because quite simply, they're wrong, we're right. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's now officially afternoon. It is not easy working with Victorian technology, and the boys have done well, so give them a good round of applause. Let me remind you that we're giving a guided tour of this restored heritage site.